Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
Yeah, Shay, thank you very much. Y'all be careful out there because we know conditions will only go downhill from here. But if you are joining us, our extended Hurricane Ida coverage will have you covered every step of the way. But if you do lose power and you still have some devices that can charge up, we do want to let you know that you can stream us in different formats and fashions across our digital platforms. You can search the WDSU Very Local app. It's available on Roku, on Amazon Fire, Apple TV as well. Of course, you can stream all of our different secondary digital channels, MeTV, and our Cox channel as well, through Charter and Spectrum. We want to keep you informed with the best decision and information that you can make for you and your family to shelter in place as this storm now rapidly approaches.
Man, and you know, so many people have just been messaging, asking, you know, what do you do now? And of course, that's really the only thing that you can do. You don't need to be out there on the roadways right now. Now the time to evacuate really has come and gone. And you don't want to be over any of these major roadways anyway at this hour, especially with some of these major bridges. And again, the causeway going to close in just a moment. We're also set to get an update from city leaders at 11:30.
And our team of meteorologists hard at work. Let's go straight to our chief, Margaret Orr. She's got an update on Hurricane Ida.
I sure do. This has just come in. I'm popping it up. Moving northwest 13, max winds 150, pressure 933 millibars, kind of following the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. Leeville 1109, Galliano 1122. It just gives you, actually it's going to be a little later than that, but it gives you the idea of where this is going to be going. Want to pop this up, and I'm going to do another storm track for you to give you an idea of how fast it's moving. So the eye wall is right on at this time, Port Fouchon. It is moving northwest at 13 miles per hour. So that's, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm going to zoom in, but literally this eye wall is now on Port Fouchon. I'll do another storm track for you. Moving northwest, 13 miles per hour. And there it is, Port Fouchon, 13 minutes. For the eye to be over Port Fouchon, that is the exact timing, okay? Northwest 13, Port Fouchon now 12 minutes. They're going to be in the eye. The bad news for Port Fouchon and also for Grand Isle. Here, I'll do just put this in motion for a second. Here we are. There you can see it moving northwest. So these are the highest winds, okay? This is, I would expect to be about 100 miles per hour. I really see these stronger winds on the east side and the south side. So within the past hour, 44 mile per hour wind with gust at Lakefront Airport. Shell Beach now has a 6-foot rise in water. And over at the Waveland Yacht Club, a 5-foot rise. You know, people are always surprised how far east you can really get this rise of water, but it happens. We saw that with Zeta. Zeta had a higher rise than we had really in New Orleans, and that was over at Waveland. I can't remember the exact rise now, but it was like 7-8 feet at least, and caused some big damage over there. So officially 25 miles south-southwest of Grand Isle, 60 miles south of Houma, those max winds at 150 miles per hour. Going to pop up our storm tracker again. These are not the exact times, but it lets you know the cities that it will be going across. It's only moving northwest at 13 miles per hour, so we cannot give you those exact times, but it lets you know, yeah, it's going to Galliano, it's going to Houma, it's going to Shreveport, and it's a Cat 4 hurricane, and you're going to have that potential to have at least 100 to even 150 mile per hour winds. So big concerns for that. Meanwhile, we can look at the eye wall just about there. So when the center crosses land, that's when we consider it a landfall. What time is it now? 11 o'clock. So we had concerns. You know, we saw this thing speed up for a while, And originally the landfall at 1 o'clock. It's certainly, I think, going to be earlier than that. If it's moving 13 miles per hour, the center getting there probably within a half hour or so. So 11:30 or so likely to be the landfall. Grand Isle is in the thick of it right now. East side of a landfalling system. Let me tell you, this water is rising. Over here in Buras, the water is rising. Lee Southwick is working on those water rises, and all of that water being pushed into Plaquemines Parish, being pushed up across Lafourche and Terrebonne parishes. So there you can see lightning looks to have diminished. That's good. Shows not intensifying and maybe not quite as strong. Hopefully that's the case, but this is rapidly approaching. Here, just another perspective with the eye wall right over Port Fouchon. Isn't it amazing? Because our forecast models were really showing Port Fouchon for several days into Terrebonne Bay, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Very strong rain band on the east side, just to the east right now of Grand Isle. It's going to be moving your way. So Grand Isle is truly going to get the thick of it with this rain band. And then the eye wall with the stronger storms on the south side looks to miss Grand Isle, but it's going to go full across Port Fouchon and then head up to the northwest. So that is a huge concern. Of course, we've talked about that flash flood warning. Let me take you on a tour just real quickly. You can see what it looks like in the city. The rain is certainly coming down. Just look at that. I mean, winds are going to be gusting. I'll show you that. Caesars Superdome getting a good cleaning right now. And then just looking out, look at the camera shaking. And look at the white caps. Okay, so do you see this? Look, the river is flowing upstream, and that happens. So there, the bend in the river, you can see the water coming in. Yeah, I've seen this several times. Look at how that river is flowing upstream, the white caps from that. So we're going to look back at our storm tracker, and you could see why the river would be flowing upstream. Look, this is the flow of the wind. The very heavy rain is coming down, and so we're likely going to get a water rise on the river. Lee, that's something else you can check to see the level of the river right now. I'm going to come back and just pop this up for a second. So there you can see it. That was the forecast track. Hold on, have the wrong thing up. Takes a second. There we are. We're getting that buoy data coming in. So these just too far to the east, but wait, what did we have? So you had a good 60-mile-per-hour wind. That was with this one when it was just on the outskirts. So certainly 60-mile-per-hour winds incoming into St. Bernard and into the metro. We're going to pop this up again, and I'm just going to go back and we're going to check the winds that we're seeing right now in our area. So here we are looking at the city. I'll pop it up for a second. And there we are, east, northeast at 26, 81 degrees, not too bad. 43 at the lakefront now. Hey, that doesn't look too bad. Those are the sustained Galliano at 37. Wind gust, 59 miles per hour at the lakefront. Remember how I said that rain band had 60-mile-per-hour winds? We saw that offshore. That's what's coming in now. And you can see how the water is being pushed inland, right? Okay. And then we can look at the highest wind gust. So far, Buras 46, that's not bad. Lakefront 59, the airport 52, 35 in Slidell, 30 in Hammond. And of course, we've got the storm surge. The storm surge driven by that wind. Did have a report of a 6-foot surge over towards Shell Beach earlier, so that's right over here. We'll pop up the radar. And there is a look at that heavy rain. So let me just take you on a tour. We're going down here. Port Fouchon now in the heavy rain. Gosh, you know, don't you wish you could see what was happening there? Very heavy rain at Port Fouchon. The wind is increasing. This is the eye wall that is right over Port Fouchon. The potential to certainly have winds of 150, though I see the stronger winds on the east side and the south side. But there it is, eye wall moving in. I remember with Betsy, you know, we had 130-mile-per-hour winds, but with Betsy, my house was shaking. My father was a civil engineer. Back then, we didn't know that you don't open the windows. I mean, our house was shaking so much, he opened the windows and the doors, and we lost part of the roof, and that's the concern. If you lose the windows and the doors, the roof can come off. So at this point, there's a whole lot of shaking going on. Buildings could be very damaged or possibly destroyed. And then they'll get into the eye not far away at all. So we're going to pause this for a second, and we're going to do a track again for the eye itself, moving northwest 13 miles per hour. And there you can see in the eye in Port Fouchon in 14 minutes. Get ready, it's here.
Wow, 14 minutes. I mean, this is such a quick moving storm. I mean, just what, midweek last week, that's when this thing popped up. And
right. I mean, not even a week ago, we're at the Saints game, right, on a Monday night. I'm talking about the next game, which would have been played last night, that eventually was canceled, and for good reason, good measure. And here we are, really within the next 32 minutes to an hour, this storm making landfall here in South Louisiana. And we know that the devastation and the catastrophic winds that are coming this way and are really here in some form or fashion, it's going to be tough to document here at WDSU, and our teams are, you know, safely doing their job across the viewing area, and that includes the greater New Orleans metro area as well. Yeah,
we've got Jennifer Crockett joining us now from Kenner with the EOC location there, with some of the things that are being done in Kenner as well as across Jefferson Parish. Jennifer.
Strong wind gusts now, some sheets of rain. Photographer Alvin Moore is going to show you what the tree tops look like. I'm out here on Williams Boulevard. You're looking back toward West Esplanade. We have about 25,000 people in Jefferson Parish who are without power right now. About 420,000 people live in Jefferson Parish, and emergency leaders tell me it's not a matter of if you lose power, it is a matter of when you lose power, and you can probably see why with the strong gusts that we're getting right now. I just got off the phone with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department, and I asked him, how many of your sheriff's deputies do you have out right now? And he said, all of them. There are about 600 first responders with the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department alone out here making sure everybody stays safe. I don't know if you can hear the wind howling, but it is getting loud out here right now. So the takeaway for you, if you still have power, go ahead and charge your cell phone, charge your laptop, charge anything and everything you can, because where you are right now is where you will be riding out Ida. I've also been in touch with people along the coast. Winds were gusting at about 9:45 this morning. They started gusting on Grand Isle at 100 miles an hour. They're significantly higher now. Much of that island is already flooded from the bay side. They haven't gotten the brunt yet from the Gulf side. Highway 1, the only road out of Grand Isle, is now flooded. There are about 50 people on the island right now between residents and first responders. And down in Lower Jefferson Parish in Lafitte, they had to close the floodgates despite 75 people on the surge side of the floodgates down there who have refused to leave. They either can't or they won't. Again, you see some cars out here. That's what the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department wants you to avoid. Actually, just a couple of minutes ago, I saw a lady riding on an electric scooter with a suitcase strapped to the back of it. Everything she owns likely is wet right now. So where you are is where you will ride out Ida. The winds are picking up. Rain is coming intermittently, but when it does come down, it is in sheets. We're out here in Jefferson Parish for you live in Kenner right now. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
All right, and then just into our newsroom just now, Delgado Community College now going to be closed Tuesday and Wednesday. So that just into our newsroom just moments ago, and we were just checking out those power outages. I mean,
many.
More than 70,000 right now, and I know where Jen is in those portions of Kenner, about 30,000 in Jefferson Parish alone, and they're kind of scattered around Causeway, I-10, West Napoleon area, and then once again like I-10 near Power, so they're kind of sprinkled throughout. But I mean, we're starting to see those outages increasing exponentially.
And the way the storm is tracking with those heavy wind gusts and just tropical storm force winds, crews won't be able to respond to those power outages really until sometime tomorrow, if tomorrow at that point, because those gusts will continue to maintain high speeds. Really, the Entergy official earlier this morning told us when it's more than 30 miles per hour, the crews and the bucket trucks just can't get up there safely to get to those down power lines and to restore electricity. So we're going to be in it for the long haul, several days, several weeks possibly without power in some of the hardest hit areas. But that's tough to see that high of a number. More than 70,000 outages already reported here in the metro area before the worst of the storms even here to come.
Well, let's go to Christina Watkins in our newsroom now to get an update on some of the new information that we're getting into our newsroom. Christina.
Hey, Randy and Jet. So right now I just kind of want to share something that I hope will give you a little bit of peace in the middle of this storm, literally and figuratively. We are seeing so many messages of support from people all over, people from across the country, of course, across the state, but really in our own backyard, coming from those who we cheer for and love on week after week. I'm talking about the Saints. Saints linebacker Demario Davis has been very active on social media, talking about how he is offering prayers and words of encouragement for all of us here across Louisiana. Take a listen.
A prayer of protection for New Orleans and the rest of the Gulf Coast region as this hurricane and storm get ready to make landfall. Just want to send my thoughts and prayers out to everyone, and just a word of encouragement, and we'll see this through as we see everything else through. For the ones that are sheltering in place, I just want to say be safe, be careful. For the ones that have evacuated, I know we'll all be praying together that we see this storm through.
And you know, also in that video, Demario Davis says that he wants to help those who need it most. So he's actually partnering with the United Way of Southeast Louisiana. This is an agency he works very closely with, and he wants to do that because he says he knows they really help those families who need it the most. Take a listen to that part.
So in this time, if you are sheltering in place and you need help at any time, you can call 211. And there will be an operator there to assist you.
So that's Saints linebacker Demario Davis offering words of encouragement and prayers to all of us. We're seeing that also from Cam Jordan. The Saints themselves posted something, and former quarterback Drew Brees, now retired quarterback, still weird to say, he also sent his love to the people of New Orleans and to the people across Louisiana. Similar messages coming from our agencies as well. Slidell Police posted a video saying right before they got into action and are getting ready to respond after the storm passes through, their chaplain led them in prayer today, just trying to give them a lot of peace and make you feel a little bit more comfortable, and covering them as they head out to protect us after the storm passes and work to recover everything that needs to be cleaned up. Speaking of that, power outages, Randy just mentioned how many we are seeing statewide right now, more than 72,000 just that quickly. I want to break it down a little bit for you parish by parish. Here's a look at the Entergy Outage Map. So in Jefferson Parish, they are seeing the most outages right now. The most customers are in the dark, with more than 31,000 customers at this hour. It's 11:15. In New Orleans, we're seeing more than 19,000 customers in the dark. The Fouchon Parish, more than 5,000 customers in the dark. We are also seeing more than 7,300 customers in Plaquemines Parish who are in the dark at this very moment. St. Charles Parish, more than 1,300 customers, and in St. John Parish, more than 3,400 100 customers. Those are just some of the areas where we are seeing the most outages. If you still have power right now, consider yourself lucky, charge your devices, do whatever you have to do, because considering this trend, that likely will not be the case as Ida makes its way toward us. Let's go ahead and get the latest on Ida's path and track with Chief Neurologist Margaret Orr. Margaret?
Thank you so much, Christina. So we're looking out the window, just kind of wanted to give you this view. Yes, the wind is blowing, the rain is coming down, and I've got to point this out. Look, Port Fouchon is almost in the eye wall. Here's Grand Isle. We just got some footage in from Grand Isle. Want to show you what it looks like. So Grand Isle has a little bit of a lull right now, but then this, look. Wind, the water is in. You got to expect that. And the water is going to be going up. How many times have we seen trees blowing? Just got actually a photo in over at Lee Circle, how a big tree is down there. Yep, it's going down. So what happens, that ground saturated, the wind's blowing, and you are going to have trees coming down. And that's the big concern, that it's going to happen, you know, all across southeast Louisiana. You just heard Christina with the power outages, and that's only going to increase. So we're looking at the surge right there at Grand Isle. Shell Beach at 7.5 feet. Chef Pass 5.5 feet. The Wrigley's close to 4. West End 3.5 feet. So that's just the beginning, and it's going to go down, okay? So there's that tree going down. You got to expect it. We knew that was going to happen, and it's going to happen more and more and more. So we're at Port Fouchon, the hurricane moving northwest at 13. So Port Fouchon in the eye wall in 3 minutes. Then they get a break. They can look outside for maybe 30 minutes or so, and then they go back in, and it's worse on the south side. Remember, Zeta was worse on the north side. That's where you had the really heavy rain, and then on the backside, not so much rain, but a whole lot of wind. This backside is worse, and in fact, I'm seeing more lightning. So get ready, it's going to be much worse. They can look outside, they can take a break, they can kind of see what's happening, then they have to go into their safe shelter. Hopefully they've got one. Unfortunately for Grand Isle, looking at the trajectory, they won't get the eye. They're just getting wind and rain, and more wind and more rain and more surge. So I don't see them getting a reprieve with the eye. They're just going to be in the rain and the wind the whole time. So I know you want to see this, and I'm going to show you just to give you an idea of how it's going to move. The timing is not going to be correct, but you will get an idea of the movement. So ignore the timing. Well, let me see, I didn't do that right. Ignore the timing. Just this is basically the path that it's forecast to go on. So Port Fouchon now, we knew that. Leeville, 4 minutes, well, forget the time. Golden Meadow, Galliano, Cloverleaf Farms. Those are some of the areas where this hurricane center will go. Okay, we're going to just zoom in. It is not officially on land or landfall until the center of the eye is over land. So landfall will be here at Port Fouchon, which is incredible that the models got it so right, and then moving up this way. So let's look at what's happening now. Again, you're getting water rises everywhere. You saw what was happening in Grand Isle. That was obviously shot from a somewhat safe location, sheltered from the wind, and you could see the water rising. So Grand Isle now, water's going up and you've got wind. A little bit of a break in between is what they just had, but they're not going to get any more for a while. Now they're just in rain. And then we can go, Barataria Bay is getting pounded. all along Plaquemines Parish. That is very heavy rain. And you're going to get some of this heavier rain just to your south. Look, I'll come out a little bit wider just so that you get the view. And you can see very heavy rain to the south, moving north. So you're going to get that. Over by Lafitte, that's heavy rain and wind. Jean Lafitte too, Jesuit Bend, Ironton, Bellevue, all of you in the rain and in the wind. Carmidale too. Then we come up a little bit closer. Belle Chase, look at that. You've got very heavy rain right now. The wind is blowing. Timberlane, heavy rain, wind. Woodmere, same thing. Harvey Boulevard, Marrero, English Turn. Chalmette, you're not too bad right now, believe it or not, but look, it's moving your way. So when you look at this, let me just put it into motion for you. So this is just a 15-minute lapse, and you can see how that heavy rain is moving in. Let's do a time lapse. It's moving northwest, 13 miles per hour. We're going to do it for Marrero, where they've got some fairly heavy rain, northwest at about 13. Audubon Zoo, where they all ask for you, 10 minutes. Loyola, 12 minutes. Tulane, 13 minutes. That's when you're going to get some of that heavier rain. And then we can look over here, look. Avondale, it's over you right now. We'll do a storm track there. Wagaman. So Avondale, 1 minute, Wagaman 3, Live Oak Manor, 16 minutes, just to give you an idea of when you're going to get some of that heavier rain. I think it's going to be there a little sooner. Hey, I haven't visited the North Shore lately, but look, you've got rain all over the causeway. Causeway closed. They've had 50-mile-per-hour winds, so they're going to close. We're looking up here, Folsom, Holton, Tickfall, Hammond, Natalbany. You've all got the rain. Sun, Bush, pretty heavy over there by Catahoula. The Kill, it just went to your north. Ooh, that one didn't look good. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is you are always at risk of tornadoes on the east side of a landfalling hurricane. I know Lee Southwick and Damon Singleton were on the air earlier with that. Yeah, so we are going to go to the lakefront for a moment, just kind of want to look out and look at how bad it is. So we've got 50-mile-per-hour winds at the lakefront the last time I checked. Let me just check those winds real quickly. And Morgan Lintus is out at the lakefront, and right now we've got 56-mile-per-hour winds. So Morgan, I want you to be really careful out there. That water is going to be rising quickly. Now it's over 3.5 feet above average in your location.
Well, thank you, Margaret. And you know, it was interesting. I was waiting for you there to say if the wind had kicked up, because I noticed just since our last live shot that it feels certainly stronger, and I would say the wind seems to be stronger for more sustained periods of time, not quite so gusty anymore. It is just a constant push on your body. We get moments like this where you have a little bit of a break, you can move backwards a little bit more, but at any moment this will be really hard for me to kind of keep myself up. If my photographer Brian can kind of pan down just to show you, you know, if you're familiar with this area, right, this is normally a place where there are tons of people walking, biking, riding their cars, right? This is shin deep water at the moment. So as Margaret said, you know, this water is just getting pushed out into places where it shouldn't be, and it's really going to just keep going up from here. I'm just, for the sake of having a little bit more shore footing, I'm going to step up here onto the grass. But let's just take a walk. Brian, if you'll follow me, I'm going to try not to lose my hat in the process. Look at all of this water. Even since we've been here, so much more water has just moved out of the lake, and I mean the wind is just pushing it all over the place. I'm sure you can hear when I stop talking for a second just how much that wind is kind of pushing on the microphone. I mean, this is, you know, I'm sure people know I am from the north. This is my first real major hurricane, and I got to tell you, this is an experience that is just, it's hard to describe, honestly. I mean, to see the conditions, deteriorate just so quickly, it's shocking, and it's something to be very much aware of. I'm going to actually come back this direction because it's quite hard to stand when you're facing directly into that wind. Brian, maybe you can push in on the lake itself and just show people how the waves are just breaking here along the sidewalks, and you can see the palm trees too. That'll give you an idea of the wind that we're seeing. I mean, it is just whipping here. Margaret said a couple minutes ago that it's probably gusting to 56 miles per hour right now. But like right this second, this is tough. This is where you kind of have to brace yourself and really just hold on. And the other thing to remember is that we're in New Orleans right now. Think about Grand Isle, some of those places along the coast that Margaret's been telling you about. That they would be happy to have just 56 mile per hour wind gusts right now, right? So we certainly understand that the conditions will get worse and that they're worse right now for a whole lot of people. But this is just a live look at the lakefront here along Lake Pontchartrain, just to help you understand what we are seeing. Of course, we're gonna, you know, be as safe as we can, but we want you to understand that this is the situation. Just a couple people out here looking right now. We really hope that they will kind of heed our warning and get inside. And you know what? We're going to do the same right now. So let's go ahead. I'm not sure if we're going back to Margaret or Chad and Randy, whoever, but we'll send it back to you all in the studio.
So much. So I grew up out there. I know the area very well. And what happens whenever you get a strong wind, that water is going to rise at the lakefront. After Katrina, I went back and looked. The debris was on top of the levee, and the iron benches that were on the lakeside were on the inside of Lake Vista. I remember it so well. Wait, y'all, I have got live camera from Grand Isle, and this is devastating. John Humphrey sent this to me. This is what's happening right now. This is why we tell you to evacuate. I'm not sure how high this camera is. I don't know how long we are going to have it, but obviously you can see the waves on top of the surge, and this is what is happening right now in Grand Isle. That is scary. I can't see if those are structures in the distance. We don't know what it is. But what happens when you get, look, that was a wooden beam that just went by. Are y'all seeing this, Chad?
Yeah.
Randy?
We're following it too, Margaret.
So I just saw a wood 2x4 go by. That means something has come down. So what we have not only is the storm surge. Remember not a while ago, I showed you how there were 30-foot waves offshore. The waves have come down. So what you have is the surge and waves on top of the surge. Did y'all ever read the book about the hurricane of 1900?
I haven't. I need to.
It's pretty incredible. And so meteorology at that time, yeah, you can see the structures now in this, and they are still standing. The water is...
if those are raised structures, Margaret,
exactly. They're raised.
This is very high. This is high water if those are raised structures.
Those are raised structures. That is high water, and it's going to get higher. But at least those structures are standing.
Yes.
You know, that's the good news. They are standing. But in 1900, with the hurricane of 1900, the first houses came down, and they became the ramming to take down the other houses. I mean, they just took them all down. So my hope is these will stand. You know, the structures there were built to withstand hurricanes, but obviously this is a whole lot of wind, a whole lot of water. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
It's furious Mother Nature, right? Just taking out her wrath, and it's heartbreaking to see because we know a lot of those structures may be coming down. Hopefully they can withstand it, but the storm surge, the amounts, the total of feet that you may be, you know, embracing or encountering down there, it's hard to watch because we know a lot of people, that's their livelihood down there on the coast.
We might lose that camera actually pretty soon, Margaret.
I know, I was afraid of that, which is why we have it up. 12 to 15-foot storm surge, waves on top of that.
Now, are we still expecting, because this is very high as it is, and we're still expecting the back end of the storm to move through. Are you expecting this water to go any higher than what you're seeing right now?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, our producers want us to take a live look at the lakefront right now. Check out this scene here.
Yeah.
Man, all over Lakeshore Drive right now, that water getting closer and closer to the levee. Now, this is not near homes because you still have the levee that's, you know, blocking portions of Lakeshore subdivision, parts of Lake Vista from this portion of the lake. But this water definitely at least a foot.
Oh, it's more than that. You can see from the house. But the levees are about 18 feet there. So at this point, we're fine at the lakefront. Morgan does need to get to a safe place. She needs to definitely go. Oh, the mayor is on. Let's hear from the mayor at this time.
Okay, we are working to establish audio connection. There you see New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell and other city and local officials gathering for the latest updates on New Orleans' response to Hurricane Ida, a strong Category 4 storm, which is just
Fouchon
starting the process of making landfall down in the Port Fouchon area.
Yeah, they're basically covering the storm from not just the perspective from now, but also what's going to happen after it passes. Because again, we've told everybody that this is this is where you're staying. Where you are now is where you're going to stay. So I think we've got the audio connected. So let's take a listen to Mayor LaToya Cantrell with New Orleans.
My message to the community at this time, all of our residents, even visitors who are here. This is the time to stay inside. Do not venture out. No sightseeing. This is very serious. We need you to stay in from this point forward all morning, all afternoon, all evening. As it relates to Monday morning, we should see some signs that we're moving out of this, but you are not to come out until you receive more information from the city of New Orleans. Now is the time that we have been preparing for and even waiting for as it relates to Hurricane Ida. Again, this is the time. Heed all warnings. Ensure that you shelter in place, you hunker down. We understand that we have residents that are now without power. We do understand that wind miles are over 35 miles per hour, which means that there will be no action, no activity from Entergy New Orleans at this time. Also, as it relates to other responses, the New Orleans Fire Department, we are now on emergency alert. As it relates to 911 calls, you will hear more from our leaders following me. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask Colin Arnold, our Director of Homeland Security, to come forth. We'll move through, trying to be as fast as possible, again, so that everyone can get out of harm's way. Thank you. Colin?
Morning. We've talked for several days. We've gone over this. This is short and sweet. Hurricane Ida is here. Tropical storm winds have arrived. As Ida moves closer, it is near certainly that we will see sustained winds of 75 miles per hour or higher, up to 110 miles per hour in New Orleans. Let me be clear, these are life-threatening winds. They will cause down power lines, structure damage, down trees, and projectiles. You absolutely need to be indoors for the remainder of this storm. Hunker down and stay put. We'll be with you through the storm. Text NOLA ready to 77295 for text alerts so you know what's going on throughout the rest of the day. Please understand that public safety officials will likely not be able to respond during dangerous conditions. This will likely include overnight when storm impacts have passed, but debris will still be blocking the roadways. It's dangerous now. It's going to be dangerous this afternoon, even more so because of the wind. It's going to be extremely dangerous overnight because of the wind and because of darkness. They're not going to be able to come to you. You need to stay inside until tomorrow. We'll look at this at the first light of day. Our emergency operations center is activated. We've got 70 people up there. They're risking COVID. They're communicating. They're communicating with everyone outside that is working this. It includes infrastructure, transportation, and human service agencies. We are coordinating response efforts. This will include immediate public safety needs throughout the duration of the storm, but as I said, there's nobody coming right now. You need to stay inside. This will also include response efforts that will begin tomorrow. When we come out tomorrow, we can look at this, take an assessment, figure out where we're at. Search and rescue operations, potential post-storm evacuations, we can deal with all that, but now is not that time. Now is the time to stay inside. More information will be made possible through every medium that we have, including the media, primarily the media, when we can do that. The most important thing is to stay inside. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Ramsey Green, Deputy CEO of Entergy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. To our residents who are both here and outside of our city, it's important to acknowledge our city again is in a very different place than it was 16 years ago today. Our levee system, or what we call the HISDR system, is strong. It's unprecedented. It is, if not the most powerful, protected system in the planet, it is certainly one of the top of them in the planet, in the country. Excuse me, in the planet. This is a system that, we've done a tremendous amount of data. The folks from both levee authorities, the Army Corps of Engineers, they have great confidence, and we share that confidence. So water coming from outside of the city, penetrating the levee system is not a huge concern. It's not a concern of ours right now. What our concern mostly is, as it relates to flooding, is rainfall cells getting above our city within the levee system and inundating our city with a high rate of rain. That is water that we cannot protect ourselves from a levee. That is water that falls within our city. At the moment, and Lauren will go over this, we're projected to potentially reach 15 to 20 inches of rain over the period of today and into tomorrow, at times exceeding a rainfall rate of 3 inches per hour, which greatly exceeds our existing drainage ability. What that means is we would see flooding in this city along public right-of-ways, in places where water typically congregates, low-lying areas, etc. Again, stay away, stay safe, wait for that water to go away, wait for it to get pumped out of our city. We had some great news thanks to the incredibly hard-working, dedicated men and women of the Sewage and Water Board. Turbine 4 came back on late last night, so we now, at the moment, have 72 megawatts or thereabouts of total power dedicated to the Sewage and Water Board, around 50 plus megawatts of self-generated power. Again, it's an incredibly fragile system. That system can change at any point, and what we always have to be prepared for that. Finally, the Sewage and Water Board, the sewer system is entirely dependent upon pumping, and what we're seeing, and thanks to Entergy, they've dedicated 10 generators to ensure our sewage system keeps moving throughout this. We have a tremendous number of people throughout this city who are at home, and they're going to use those systems. And until we give you any additional information, you're good to go in using your water, your sewage systems at home. Stay inside. This city knows how to deal with this. We've had 16 years since Hurricane Katrina to invest billions of dollars into our exterior protection from coastal inundation. Rainfall, rate of rainfall, that is our real flooding concern at the moment. Entergy New Orleans has dedicated over 4,000 out-of-state contractors who are pre-positioned throughout the region, and they are ready to respond to loss of power. So our big threats right now from the infrastructure side are loss of power, flooding in certain parts that you have seen before when we have an excessive rate of rain throughout this city, but we have great confidence. All of the HISDRs, and we add two more things, I'm sorry. The Histor system, all of the gates were closed at about midnight last night. The last gates were closed at midnight, and the outfall pumping stations, the PCCPs that pump water out of our city into Lake Pontchartrain are active and moving. Again, thank you so much to the folks at the flood authorities, the United States Army Corps of Engineers. We have great confidence in any water from coming from out of this city into it. It's the real concern of the water that falls within our city. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And we're going to keep it going. Dr. Jennifer Bagnall.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just be brief. I want to reiterate what's been said. Now is the time to stay where you are. Our healthcare system, our hospitals are hunkering down. They are caring for the patients that are within their walls. Our first responders will be unable to get to you. Please do not try to access a healthcare or a hospital facility right now. We will be there for you when the storm passes, but the safest thing you can do is to stay put. Please make sure that you have a plan for your elderly and vulnerable residents or family members, neighbors that are in your immediate space. Make sure that they are being cared for throughout the duration of the storm. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bagnall. And I also need to add, as I've been recently informed, that residents as well as visitors and hotels all throughout the city at this time, we are asking for water conservation. Water conservation is needed at this time and throughout the rest of the morning, throughout the afternoon, throughout the evening. More information will come as we receive it. And thank you so much. I'm going to now bring up Chief Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. Currently, right now, New Orleans Police Department is operating at 100% all hands on deck, 12-hour shifts. At some point in time, as Colin mentioned earlier, we will have to hunker down, which means that will impact our response. So we are asking you to please, right now, hunker down yourselves. Do not put ourselves, do not put our fire department, do not put our EMS in harm's way as you're putting yourselves in harm's way. Now is the time, and over the next 24 hours, perhaps, we need to, just hunker down. I will say also, we are prepared to assist whatever recovery efforts we would have to assist with after this, but also anti-looting. We will not allow any looting throughout this process, and we will be out there to enforce that. So as I'm asking and begging and pleading with you, please hunker down now, as we will have to hunker down at some point in time ourselves, when we will not be able to respond. But as soon as we are able to do so, as conditions improve, we will be able to do so. But please, right now, do your due diligence. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much. Director Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. At 10 a.m. this morning, OPCD advised the public of an intermittent 911 outage that we were experiencing calls coming to the center that would begin to drop. We've engaged our technology partners and our state and federal regulators to ensure that 911 service could quickly restored. I'm happy to report about 10 minutes after the reported outage, 911 service in the city of New Orleans has been fully restored at this time. So again, 911 is for life-threatening emergencies only. At this point, I've been speaking to the past 2 days about that point when public safety responses will be reduced or altered. We are at that point. All the public safety agencies at this point are making decisions when or will they will no longer respond. So if you call 911, the call taker may be telling you, we will see you or get to you when it is safe. That does not mean after the storm is over. The moment that our public safety agencies get an opportunity to safely get to you, they will try their best to do so. But please only call us when you absolutely have an emergency. Please don't call 911 also because you didn't evacuate and now you want someone to come get you. I'm sorry, we're past that point. Our advice to you now is get to shelter in place and protect yourself indoors. Do not be outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I have to bring up Colonel Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colonel Bailey from the Louisiana National Guard. Your National Guard is trained and ready to respond, and we're here with you here in the city of New Orleans on the ground. I have 260 Army and Air National Guardsmen. Those members are staged and stationed throughout the city to respond to activities and requirements immediately after the storm as soon as it's safe. As it relates to our equipment, We have boat teams, high water rescue vehicles, security forces in accordance with or in support of NOPD. We have also, in the event they're needed after the storm, we have helicopters and aviation to follow on search and rescue as soon as they can fly, and that'll probably be on tomorrow. We're working with the mayor and her staff to facilitate an after the storm, after the event, evacuation and onward integration from MCC for those who wish to evacuate. And I'll close with this very quickly. We're here, we're with you, with your friends, your relatives, your neighbors. I myself, the rest of the Louisiana National Guard, we value every one of you. You all matter, and we're going to protect what matters.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Colonel. Lauren.
Hi, good morning, everybody. In terms of the weather, everything's pretty much already been reiterated here. You know, potential for sustained winds 74 to 110 miles an hour, possibly higher gusts, flooding 15 to 20 inches. Currently, the storm is in the process of moving onshore, I guess you could call it that, in Port Fouchon and Grand Isle. So it should be making landfall down there very shortly. Water levels down there are rapidly rising. Wind speeds are also rapidly rising. In terms of winds in the city, we're already seeing 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts. So we are basically there for hurricane force wind gusts right now as 11:45 a.m. We're seeing sustained 30 to 40 miles per hour, some more. For those of you in the building, we can hear it outside the windows right now. So as we see it, as everybody else has been saying, it's only going to get worse from here. Hunker down, be careful, be safe, and we will just be safe after the storm as well if you have generators. The winds will be slow to come down tonight into the overnight hours, and just be prepared for anything at this point.
Thank you so much, Lauren. As Ramsey indicated during his briefing, that Entergy New Orleans is on the ready to respond to the needs of our community, particularly right now. That need is with the Sewage and Water Board, and the necessary responses are being done right now. Also, what I would say to our residents, be calm in the midst of this storm. You can be calm. You have everything that you need. We will get through this together. So be prepared, stay where you are, continue to heed the messages that come throughout the city of New Orleans, but we will get through this together. The best thing that I will say at this time is knowing that we have the leadership that is in place on all sides. And I'm very confident in the presence of our New Orleans City Council standing with us as well, as they have always been. Now, I would ask for Councilmember Helene Moreno, who serves as our president, to just represent the council at this time. Councilmember?
Thank you so much, Mayor. I would just reiterate, stay home. This is the time to hunker down. As you all know, the New Orleans City Council is the regulator of Entergy New Orleans, so I've been in close contact with its CEO, Deanna Rodriguez. As the mayor has mentioned, she is, and along with her team, all hands on deck on the Sewage and Water Board situation. Preliminary reports, it appears that it's something on the ENO side that they're trying to rectify and restore power on that route. So that's really the latest that I've got. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated, and just stay safe and stay home. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and for the sake of time and for your safety, we'll answer a few questions. And Allison.
David Hammer, WWL.
Yes, sir.
I think we need some clarity on the situation with the Sewage and Water Board power. Is it correct that they've lost power to run the sewage lift pumps? And you talked about water conservation, and at one point you said go ahead and use your water and sewer, and then another point you said conserve water.
Because we just got information.
Exactly. Yeah. So on the front end, as Ramsey was giving his update on the infrastructure, talking both Sewage and Water Board as well as Entergy, we were notified of a power outage relative to the Entergy New Orleans side of the operation, just as confirmed by Councilmember Moreno. Those matters we know have compromised as it relates to the sewer system. That's where the request for water conservation came into play. That still remains active at this particular time. Ramsey, anything you need to add, you can do so now.
Yeah, real quick. So yeah, David, we just got that, which is why those ENO generators are being deployed. Hopefully we'll get through it, but I think for our residents, an overwhelming approach to this storm. If you don't need to use water, don't use it for the moment, okay? For the moment, if you don't need to use water, just be conservative with it. Thank you, Mayor.
One more thing. And David, just a little bit more information that I'm getting from Entergy. It could be potentially a substation that's out, potentially a breaker issue. The winds are really high, but you know, Entergy is trying to get some crews out there to figure out if they can figure out the situation. But of course, they have to do that safely. So it's still kind of in the investigation point right now.
So as we learn more, we will share. Right? Be as transparent as we need to be, because that's how we are.
Next question, Peyton Triss, WGNO.
A lot of people have evacuated and heeded the warnings, and then a lot of people are going to want to go outside after the storm. When are you telling people it's going to be safe to come back, and when it will be safe to go back outside to check on their property?
Sure, when we have assessed the situation, and after doing so, we will inform the public. Until that point, stay inside. We, again, will investigate. The good news is that this storm should be nearing completion in the early morning, so by day. And so that is on our side, because immediately we will be able to go out and assess. But only after a thorough assessment by public safety officials across the board, people are supposed to stay put until otherwise notified.
Next question, Tim Craig, Washington Post.
Hi, thank you. And you don't need to explain the whole levee system again, but I think around the country, a lot of people may be wondering, why are you so confident in that the levee system will hold in this case? They were rebuilt as Category 5 levees, but we're almost at a Category 5 hurricane. We're just a couple miles short. So can you just briefly say why this confidence that there's no water from the outside going to be coming into the city through the newly built levees? And then also one follow-up question, could you just also clarify that your hospitals, many of which I believe are very full because of the COVID situation, do they all have generators and backup energy supplies that's not going to become an issue if power goes out?
Sure. So on the front end of that question relative to our levee protection system, billions of dollars, over $14 billion has been invested in our levee protection system. We have more technology and science in terms of its advancement that gives us the comfort and the confidence that's needed to ensure that those who are inside the levee protection system will not be compromised. Of course, as we move through this hurricane, we will learn more, right? But at this time, that's where our focus is, in the city of New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana. We appreciate the concern nationally, but right now, our focus is on our people right now. Ramsey, anything you need to add?
Yeah, you know, I appreciate the question, but, you know, we in this city have had 16 years since Hurricane Katrina to understand the evolving changes between the human-built environment and the changing climate and the changing environment. And thanks to 16 billion plus of federal taxpayer dollars, great science, great analytics, we are really confident that the levee system as constructed now is, we're not confident, we factually know. And much like this city has run COVID, our COVID response embracing data and science, we're very confident that that levee system, which as a community, this city went through a lot of very strategic changes from the management of it, from the way people are on the board and all of those things to make it focused on data, science, and logic. And that system is incredibly strong. I've been to the Netherlands, I've seen what they have. The Netherlands use our advisors for some of the construction we've done for HISDRs. We're very confident in a way that we have never as a community been before. It's a different time, it's a different place, and we've had 16 years to really protect our city from what occurred tragically on this day 16 years ago. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And just to the hospital piece, you know, again, kind of echoing this theme, there's no one more prepared
in the healthcare system in America than our hospitals, because they all went through Katrina. They have incredibly sophisticated emergency preparedness plans that they get to exercise on a regular basis, because this is not our first threat in the last 16 years. They all have generators. They test the generators. They will utilize the generators if and when they deem that it's necessary. And so again, I can say this from personal experience, as well as professionally, the hospitals are prepared.
Thank you, Dr. Vegno. Allison? That's it. Thank you all so much, and you should know that our unified command will continue to be in place. Direct communication with the White House has happened, and we do and will continue with that direct line and link, as well as our Secretary of FEMA. Thank you all so much. Be safe, and we will give you updates.
All right, we've been listening to Mayor LaToya Cantrell here in New Orleans and other city officials describing the latest as Hurricane Ida approaches. And now we're just getting breaking news that the storm is making landfall down near Port Fouchon.
Margaret has been very closely tracking that. Let's get to her with the very latest.
So I've been watching this going, gee, it looks like it's making landfall. We just got the confirmation, 11:55. Here's Lee with the information. Made landfall as a Cat 4. The wind's 155 miles per hour near Port Fouchon. And, you know, we had said all along it looked like it was going to be Port Fouchon, and that's exactly what happened. Right now, Grand Isle is in the thick of things. It's moving up towards Golden Meadow. It's going to continue moving to the northwest. Let's take this full for a moment, and I'll put it into motion for you. So there, a look at Ida as it made landfall today, 11:55, as a Cat 4, with winds of 155, was it 150 miles per hour? 11:55. Yeah, 150 miles per hour. The reconnaissance data is indicating that the pressure 930 millibars. If we could take this full for a moment so that everybody can see exactly where this made landfall. So Ida has made landfall, a Cat 4 at 11:55, and extremely dangerous hurricane. Within the past hour, 43-mile-per-hour winds were reported, gusting to 67 at the Lakefront Airport. In Shell Beach, the water level now up 6.4 feet, and at the Waveland Yacht Club, 5.5 feet. So now 15 miles southwest of Grand Isle, max winds 150, moving northwest at 13 miles per hour, and the pressure 930 millibars. Very dangerous hurricane moving to the northwest. Let me just show you what it looks like in our storm tracker. It's loading up right now. There it is as it made landfall. Man, look at that. So much to see. So very strong winds right now in Grand Isle. Those hurricane force winds are extending outward a good 50 miles. The tropical force winds, I believe it was 140 miles. So Grand Isle now in those hurricane force winds. We saw footage earlier of the Grand Isle camera, and it looked like it was going underwater. So high surge now moving into Grand Isle with this eye wall. Here's Port Fouchon right in the center. So it's officially making landfall when the center crosses line. And there's a look at all of this water pushing up into Plaquemines Parish right now. On the west side, you've got a southward moving water, so not as bad there, but as it moves northwest, you're going to have more water moving into Terrebonne Bay. And at this point, Golden Meadow getting in the thick of things. This is where winds are 100 to 150 miles per hour as this eye wall moves north. My big concern for the south side, that's where I really see the highest winds, is right there on the south side. So Port Fouchon getting a bit of a break because they are in the eye. They can look up. They may even see blue skies. It's pretty incredible. With Betsy, I saw the stars. And then they're going to get pounded, and it's going to be worse. Meanwhile, Grand Isle may not ever get a break with this. And I say a break meaning moving into the eye so they can assess damage and get a breather. They are going to be in the high wind and the surge the whole time. And it did look as though the Grand Isle live camera is going underwater. Lee Southwick, our meteorologist, has been monitoring that.